Okay, testing, your channel. Okay, now welcome to the last chapter of video that we are going to take for the Easter holiday, right? Now, for this series of video, which will be relatively long because chapter 20 is a relatively long chapter, right? We are going to look at something we call money supply and money demand. Okay，好啦，嗱，Sir，呢課究竟會做啲咩啊？嗱，take a look at here, right? We'll look at money supply and more specifically. When we talk about money supply, there is a concept we call deposit creation and credit creation. Okay, this would directly affect money supply, right? But that would be a little bit complicated. So we will have a separate video to talk about this, okay, separately. Okay, then we obviously will talk about money demand as well. And then finally, like what we did for money demand and demand and supply, right? We're going to look at the equilibrium situations, okay, which is quite easy. Now, unlike the textbook, I will actually do it the opposite, okay? 我會倒轉嚟做啊，好嘛？Let's talk about money demand first. Now let's go to page 208. 嗱，呢條片咧，我哋講啲簡單嘅先。Money demand 係比較簡單嘅，OK？Money demand basically is the total amount of money which the public desire to hold。究竟佢想揸住幾多錢嘅啫？OK，好嘛？嗱，in fact there are two different purposes for holding money，即係有兩條唔同嘅 demand 啦。OK，first we have the transaction demand for money，記唔記得啊？之前講過啦，係咪啊？This one, right? The transaction demand for money. Basically, you hold money for the purpose of daily transaction. Okay, transaction demand for money, or the short form we call it MT. Okay, 好啦，now here obviously, this one so-called transaction demand for money is positively related to nominal income. Now, but the funny thing is, okay, when we talk about money demand and money supply, we are actually talking about interest rate. And okay, now this will be the y-axis, okay, 係嘛 ？R interest rate 係我哋嘅y-axis，而 x-axis 咧，we are talking about the quantity of money. Now, funny enough, okay, since we are talking about interest rates, you know that the so-called price of money is interest rate. Would interest rates affect how much you are holding for transaction purpose? The answer is no. Now, therefore, what happens with transaction demand for money is that, you know, 咧今次我哋 demand supply 係咁㗎 ，interest rate and then quantity of money. This time, MT is this one, vertical in shape. 因為佢唔關 interest rate 事㗎，佢關咩事啊？ Only related to how much money it is needed to hold transactions. Okay, versus another one, asset demand for money. 我哋叫做啦 amount of money hold as storing wealth， 即係講得簡單啲，儲錢咯，好嘛？儲錢咯。This one basically saving， 係嘛？當佢係儲錢咯。Now this time it's a little bit funny. This time it's a little bit funny. Okay, now when it comes to the so-called asset demand for money， 嗱開咗估先。I think you already know, right? 係嘛？ Demand, as in the case of all demand curve, MA is downward sloping. Now, there is a reason to explain why. Okay, 嗱我哋諗諗啦。Here, MA is holding money as an asset. So, you have two choices. You can either hold money, 好啦，或者你唔 hold money 可以 hold 啲咩啊？ Maybe stock or bonds， 係咪啊？買股票啊，買債券啊。Okay, you see, the two of them belongs to something we call substitute relationship. Okay, substitute relationship. Remember 有一樣嘢啦，我成日都話啦 ，if you're holding $100, you save it under your pillow。你將100蚊擺喺你枕頭底 ，how much money would you get tomorrow? You will still get 100。所以啦，原來幾多 interest rate 啊 ？No matter interest rate is high or low, it's not going to affect the face value of money。你100蚊，你攝喺枕頭底，你聽日都只會係得100蚊嘅啫。It won't change anything. Okay, so money is actually facing a 0% interest rate, as always, versus stock and bonds, okay, which would be affected by the interest rate. Okay, if interest rate is higher, let's say for example, interest rate is higher, it means that the return from stock and bonds, okay, the return will be higher. Okay, so when interest rate increases, what would happen? People would actually hold less money. 喂，唔好揸咁多錢啦，揸啲咩好啊？ Would hold more stock and bonds. So do you see the relationship here? As interest rates increase, what happens ultimately is that the MA, or the quantity, or I should say, right, quantity of money held as asset would drop。梗係唔揸錢啦，錢係零啊嘛，其他係有 interest rate 賺啊嘛。So I'm not going to hold money. Instead, I'm going to hold other interest-bearing assets. Okay, 得唔得？ So this one, money demand, composed of these two, transaction demand for money and asset demand for money。一個打直嘅，一個向下斜嘅。OK， 好嘛？ Now you can also take a look at the textbook to see what factors would affect the so-called MA. Now obviously liquidity, right? 係咪 liquidity. Okay, liquidity of asset, risk of holding an asset, and nominal rate of return. Okay， 嗱，遲啲我哋睇 past paper 睇啦，好嘛？ We will look at this from past paper. OK， 好嘛？ Now therefore， 好啦，你所以見到啦 ，asset demand for money is downward sloping. Now with this set, what about the total demand for money? Basically, you have a vertical, you have a downward sloping. These two add up together will be equal to the total demand for money, okay? Which for our purpose, it's going to be downward sloping. OK， 好嘛？嗱，呢個唔算特別難嘅，OK。Now let's see， 又係啦 ，change in total quantity demanded versus change in demand 都係嗰啲啦。QD when would it change? When R interest rate changes versus change in demand for money, which is things outside of interest rates. For example, risk 係嘛？可能而家風險唔同咗啦。我哋 economy for example 係咪啊？成個經濟唔同咗啦。OK， 得唔得 ？So this is what we call the so-called demand for money, money demand. OK， 好嘛？好 ，So what would be the factors affecting money demand? OK， 好嘛？嗱 ，first of all, let's talk about transaction demand for money. OK，transaction demand for money. What is going to affect nominal income? 好簡單啫。The more money you have, the more likely you're going to buy. 有錢就是任性啊嘛。Now therefore, it's going to increase. OK， 好嘛？佢所謂啦 ，nominal income， 不如自己睇好嘛？嗱 ，this one not incredibly important. Not incredibly important. 你見到啦 ，total amount of output, right? If you want more output, right? If you want to buy more output, you're going to have to bring more money. Also, as the general price level increases, you need to hold more money in order to buy the same amount of good. OK， 好嘛？嗱，所以啦，唔講啦，呢個自己睇啦，好嘛？嗱，因為呢個真係唔重要。其實呢課 this chapter the most important one is actually money supply, not money demand. Information technology, OK, the better 嗱，成日都話啦 ，when electronic payment becomes better, what happens? People need to hold less money. 唔使帶住咁多錢咯。 係嘛？Because you can just use the octopus for example, EPS for example， 唔使帶咁多錢啦。So MT, okay, transaction demand for money would decrease. Okay, transaction demand for money would decrease. 好啦，跟住啦。Here, the payment interval, if you need to have more payment, okay, or the interval between two payments are further apart, okay. 如果啦遠啲啦 ，you need to hold more cash， 係咪？如果唔係啦，唔夠錢使啊，唔夠錢使啊，係咪啊？嗱，for example, maybe you pay in the morning, then in the afternoon, in the evening, then each time you don't need to hold that much cash, right? Let's say, for example, 我今日去撳機。I tell myself I'm going to do the ATM next week. 咁啊隔咗成個禮拜啦 I need to hold more money in order to deal with all the trades within this week, right? 係咪 interval. And finally, desire to consume. Higher the desire, higher the amount of money you need to hold, right? 好嘛，好啦，呢個唔嘥時間啦。Now, here. What about factors affecting asset demand for money? Basically, wealth, basically wealth. Let's see. Increase in people's wealth, right? The ratio would remain unchanged. Now, therefore, the amount held as cash would increase, right? 係咪？正常都係嗰句，其實好易明嘅啫。有錢就是任性 ，right? If the total portfolio of money, of all the wealth you have, 係咪？李嘉誠可能佢出街一帶1萬蚊嘅。你出街，你成副身家得200蚊啫，咁你咪帶20蚊咯。For example, right？ 係咪啊 ？So here, the more wealthy you are, the more money you bring. The more money you hold as asset, right？ 好啦 ，risk of holding other asset, higher the risk of other asset 係嘛？太高風險啦。For example, bonds and stock becoming more risky. Then let's not hold bonds and stock. Instead, we are going to hold money because money, remember. Money is always the most liquid asset， 永遠都係啦，即刻能夠變到錢㗎。Okay, always can convert into money because well it is money, right？ 唔需要 convert 啦。Always the lowest risk and the most liquid asset, okay 係咪 ？Liability of other interest-bearing asset 一樣啫，同樣道理啫個 point， 好嘛 ？OK 嗱，不過你話阿 Sir 你點解飛得咁快嘅 ？Again because these are not important for DSE purpose, right 係嘛？ Now here let's take a look at some past papers related to money demand. Now for X3, let's go to page 10. Of your chapter 19 and 20 notes, OK 好嘛？我哋見到啦 ，2016嗱呢度我都唔揾太多 past paper 俾你啦 ，OK because it's not terribly important, right? Which of the following will lead to the above change in asset demand for money curve 嗱 asset demand 啊，唔係 MT 啊 ，not transaction demand, OK now first of all, you see this is a shift 係成條 shift 走咗啦 ，therefore definitely. Not a change in interest rate because if there is a change in interest rate, it should be movement along the curve. 係咪應該沿住條 curve 去轉啊 ？Okay, let's see. The stock market becomes less volatile. Okay, 嗱 volatile 未必知點解啦 ，risky. Okay, 我哋試下解下啦。When stock becomes less risky, so people invest in stock, invest more in stock。好啦，多咗錢擺落去 stock 度，即係咩意思啊 ？They will hold less cash or money，OK？ 唔會揸咁多錢咯，揸少咗即係咩意思啊 ？The asset demand for money would drop。OK， so it seems that A is the answer. 不過啦，同樣道理啦 ，you know, right? I'm not a very confident person. So let's say B, C and D. 睇埋其他先。General price level is expected to fall continuously. Okay. General price level. Do you remember? General price level. Which part would affect money demand, right? Actually, it's going to affect MT. Okay, transaction demand for money. If it is expected to fall continuously, okay, then later on 係嘛？第時我唔使揸咁多錢啦 ，OK 係嘛 ？Expected to fall continuously, so I will save up more money, OK? I will save up more money, OK? I will save up more money to 呢個小心啲，其實唔係 MA 都有影響，好賤啊呢個，有少少賤啊佢字眼。Here, if we expect later to fall, then we will buy more later. 第時先買咯，而家唔好買咁多咯。What does that mean? It means that the saving now would increase. 而家我係咪會儲多啲錢啊？等第時跌價嘅時候可以買啊嘛。When saving increases, what does that mean? It means that actually our MA would increase. 你咪揸多啲錢做 asset 咯。To save up, to store up your purchasing power. OK, 得唔得？ So actually, MA should increase, not decrease in our case. 好啦 ，Central banks raises the discount rate. Now this one something to do with money supply. 我哋遲啲先講。There is a fall in disposable income of household. OK, fall in disposable income. OK, 嗱，如果 disposable income。The money that can be spent, okay, it means that MT would drop. Okay, so not exactly the answer. So answer would be A. Okay, 好嘛 ？Fall in disposable income 呢個應該 MT 啦，係嘛？關 MT 事啦。Even if it has something to do with MA, right? 係嘛 ？Fall in disposable income, what does that mean? It most likely means there will be more saving, 係嘛？因為 more saving, therefore we have less disposable income, right? So answer will be A. 好啦，跟住呢條啦 ，electronic payment allowed to pay without cash, okay? When shops accept these electronic payment system, definitely we know MT would drop, 係咪啊？唔需要揸住咁多錢去做 transaction 啊嘛，係咪啊 ？The cost of handling coins and notes will fall. 係啊，你唔使去處理銀仔啊，唔使處理紙幣啊嘛。So yes, one is correct. Okay, transaction demand for money will increase. No, answer 1 and 2。嗱，第二個我哋未識解嘅 actual banking multiplier 未識解嘅。嗱 for now, let's just say, okay, let's just say deposit. People will put more money into deposit. Deposit would increase, okay, which may lead to 嗱，你見佢好小心啊 ，may increase 啊 ，OK, which may lead to more so-called credit creation 嗱，遲啲先講呢個好嘛？呢個未去到 ，OK 得唔得 ？So not incredibly difficult topic. OK， 仲有一條 one more question, and then we move on to the actual important topic of money supply. OK， 好嘛？好，第三個啦。嗱 ，which of the following would result in an above change in money demand？嗱，今次係 money demand 啊 ，therefore it can either be MA or MT 兩個都可以啊，好嘛？嗱 ，the central bank issue larger denomination banknote for circulation。OK, for circulation。嗱，呢個咧其實佢有啲巧口啊。嗱，我哋唔係好明，打個問號先，好嘛？打個問號先。好啦 ，the expected inflation rate drops。OK， 咦，李阿 Sir？有關 expected inflation rate 乜嘢事啊？嗱，所以嗱，你開始見啦，原來後期2018啊 ，2018 these questions becomes a little bit harder. So let's put a question mark. 你阿 Sir 死啦，兩個都唔識，有機會有個答案一睇就知咧，係咪？嗱，呢個咪考試技巧咯。Sometimes in exam, some wordings we do not know for sure. Then let's just skip those. Okay. The risk of investing in stock market decreases 啊，呢個即刻見到啦，係咪啊？ When the risk of investing in stock market decreases, what does that mean? It means that investment in stock would increase. 咦，多咗 stock 喎。It means that hold money will hold less money. 即係咩意思啊？唔揸咁多錢，或者係 MA 啦會 drop。Therefore, C is definitely the answer we want。有時係咁樣啦，考試 in exam sometimes we give some techniques。OK， 好嘛 ？D the security problem have been found in major electronic payment system。哇死啦！唔用 electronic money 咪用 actual money 咯，係咪啊？嗱 ，therefore you see MT would increase。 You need to hold more money, hold more cash for transaction purpose. So not the answer. OK 第一個啦 ，central bank issue larger denomination banknote for circulation。佢而家啦嗱 ，boys，don't be faked。我而家係面值大啲啫，即係由50蚊變咗100蚊。OK， 50蚊變100蚊啦。Boys，would this affect the total amount of money needed 會唔會有改變㗎 ？OK， no， it's going to stay constant。會唔會因為張紙由50蚊變咗100蚊 ？Originally you need to bring two $50 to go to McDonald's. Now you need to bring one $100 notes to the McDonald's. Does it change anything? No. So there is no change. 你冇俾 fix 到啊，好嘛 ？B the expected inflation rate drops 啊，咩叫 inflation rate drops 啊 ？OK， the expected inflation rate drops 啊，不過呢個咧其實有啲危險㗎。OK， 呢個有少少危險㗎。OK，where inflation rates basically it says how much the price changes. OK，the price level changes. There are two cases. 好啦，好危險啊呢個。There are two cases. This is actually an unknown. 好啦 ，case one 嗱，小心話 inflation rate 啊，唔係 inflation 啊。Rate it can be larger than or smaller than a zero. If, for example, it is a positive number, but it drops. But remember, it is still a positive number. 佢仍然都係 positive number. What does that mean? It means that price level would keep on going up. 如果 price level 繼續升嘅話，即係咩意思啊？ Transaction demand for money will keep on increasing. OK， 咦咁你話升喎係嘛？升喎 ？No sorry 係嘛？In this case drop. Although the rate drops, you see that price level is still increasing. OK， 好啦 ，second case. Let's say the expected inflation rate is negative to begin with. 係嘛 ？Now it drops further. What does that mean? It means that price level will go down. Therefore, MT would go down. 好啦，我有問題啦。So boys, which case is the actual case? 究竟係升定跌啊 ？We don't know. Therefore, this question is actually a question mark. 原來係唔知㗎。You do not know whether price level would go up or go down. Okay, 好嘛 ？So boys, these are some questions on money demand. Okay, 嗱 again, not incredibly important topic because the important topic is actually the next topic on money supply. 其實你望下題目已經知㗎啦，係咪啊？嗱 ，money demand 我哋有3條 money supply. Take a look. We have tons of questions. 係咪？你睇一路攣落去 in my notes, all about money supply. So let's go to the important topic on money supply in our next video. Okay, see you in our next video. Bye bye.